TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, baby, higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week. It's Thursday, September 26, 2024. A little crispness in the air as Hurricane Helena, I think, is going to come up the East Coast. Thoughts and prayers to Florida and everyone in its way. Please, guys, be safe, safe. No hero plays, please. Busy morning here at the ECSI studios. Of course, on Thursday, the legend himself, Mr. Paul Stone, to break down the NCAA football weekend and do a little recap of last week. And at the 11:30 hour, grab your pom-poms, grab your scorecard. I have no idea which way the show goes, but when Cam Stewart is back with us. He made his debut last week and is able to squeeze in a few minutes with us. I know we'll talk some President's Cup. We'll talk hockey. We'll talk whatever Cam wants, but must follow as well with Cam Stewart. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, please head on over to Google Play. Download it. It's free. I promise you it will be the most used app moving forward in 2024 and beyond. Viva Tequila Seltzer. CT Bets, that team, that family, second to none. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. If you haven't tried it, go where you get your adult beverages. If they don't have Viva, ask why. And of course, our new proud sponsor and partnership, it's Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Head on over to Facebook, follow Terry Smith, and then follow Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. If you get in an order today, use the promo code CUSTOMER. 15% off anything over $199. I promise you, your grill will be singing from head to toe. Without further ado, the one and only, Mr. Paul Stone.
How we doing, Jeff?
Morning,
another
sir.
week of college football, and glad to be on with you. We've got a little crisp air down here in Texas as well, in the 60s this morning. So pleasant and seems like full fall football weather for us this weekend.
Well, you know, it's technically week 4 in the NFL. So technically, I guess for most people, week 5 in college. And now this is where the rubber hits the road. We've seen a Texas team walk into the big house. So you kind of, this was early in the year, so you kind of set the tone. Okay, maybe Michigan is, going to have some hiccups. Well, they said, hold my beer. What a game, what a performance by Michigan, upsetting USC last week. We have a big game that we're obviously going to talk about in Tuscaloosa later on as Georgia 1.5 2-point favorites head into Alabama. I think if the tweet I saw was correct, it will end a streak of 113, 119 straight games. Bama has been favored at home there. But I want to start the show with this, Paul. Everyone had Georgia. Everyone has Ohio State. Everyone has Texas. You add your Alabama and your Ole Miss. There's two teams that I think have made statements. And call me crazy, but I think they can do some damage in this new playoff format. And I think, now I'm even crazy here, I wouldn't be shocked if they won it all, and that's Miami and Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, Miami was a team that in the preseason I kind of held my nose because Mario Cristobal's made some curious, especially late game coaching decisions in recent times. But Miami has got talent on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. They've used the portal to perfection, just filling in any needs there. And then Tennessee, we talk about Tennessee. The first thing you think about is their true freshman quarterback and that offensive scheme that Josh Heupel has run so effectively throughout his coaching career. But, man, it's that defense as well for the Volunteers. Their defensive tackles up front, they're really getting some push. And I think that's what makes Tennessee this year, is maybe opposed some other years with the Volunteers. That's what makes them a national title bona fide contender this year, is the fact that their defense is better. And we're going to see more. I mean, we've only got a 4-game sample size, and they still, like Alabama or rather Michigan beats Southern Cal last week. But is Southern Cal really that good? I mean, they beat an LSU team that really should have lost to South Carolina, to be honest about it. And, we just still kind of get a feel. We still need a little bit more of a sample size to see what we've got. But certainly I'm totally on board with you. I think Miami and Tennessee are right there in the discussion, and they are two teams that definitely are ascending and could, play a big role in the 12-team playoff come December and beyond.
I had the Canes losing one game, and I probably honestly thought it was going to be open and weak at the Swamp, and they handled the Gators pretty easily there. And you said it perfectly. If they can continue to do what they're doing on both sides of the ball and have these comfortable leads, we won't have to get Cristobal into that mix to make one of those boneheaded calls.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you kind of take the coaching out of it if you're ahead by a comfortable margin. But I would think they apparently have made some adjustments in their clock management assignments to coaches and folks on the sideline. So hopefully they won't have errors like that again in the future. And, this guy, he obviously, no question, he's a big-time recruiter. He's always been a big-time recruiter throughout his collegiate career. And I take Cam Ward, their quarterback. He's had a little bit of a interception problem, I think it's fair to say, at Washington State. Not a huge one, but he's really taking care of the football, and I think he's one of the leading contenders betting odds-wise for the Heisman Trophy. So, man, they're really hitting on all cylinders right now, and it might be hard to slow those Hurricanes down.
I hate to go down this road, but they are who we thought they are. And I've been waiting now, I want to say, Paul, for 2 decades for Nebraska to have that statement win. And last week, right there, there was an opportunity to go to 4-0, really to make a statement, that path for maybe a 6-7-0 start before the big dogs start come rolling in on their schedule. Was it more Nebraska? I had the Illinois team total under 16.5. I knew early that Illinois was going to be able to actually score more than I thought they would on Nebraska. Where was the Cornhusker problem last weekend?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, but I mean, Luke Altmaier, the quarterback for Illinois, he has really progressed this year. I mean, last year he had a lot of turnovers, I mean, Illinois the year before in 2022, I think they were a little bit of a winner, a little bit positive in the turnover category. But I think last year they were negative double digits, and some of it certainly fell in Luke Altmaier's lap. But Altmaier is much better. And Brett Bielema, he can coach a little football, especially in that underdog role. And, Nebraska's not a championship level football team. They weren't before last Friday. They're not today. They are a program that's trying to build something. They have a lot of good players. They're not going to beat the cream of the cream in the Big Ten. And I think they maybe got a little bit too focused on going 7-0, and you've got to play them one at a time. I mean, nobody just comes in and lays down and says, we're here for our whooping and we'll leave when the game's over. They're going to compete and they're going to play. And, I'm still very impressed with their true freshman quarterback, Dylan Raiola. I think he's only going to get better as the year goes on. And I think this Nebraska team is going to be a fun one to watch. And it'll especially be fun once they get to the meat of their schedule, those final 5 regular season games. And that'll give us an even better barometer of where they stand going forward when they start, facing the class of the Big Ten.
I hate to bring this up. I woke up yesterday morning, I saw a tweet, and I almost vomited. A team that we were real high on pre-flop, and that was UNLV, undefeated, hosting Fresno State this week. And the quarterback says, you know what? I'm all set. You didn't fulfill what you said you were going to do, NIL or whatever the hell it is. I'm going to redshirt here. Just crippling them in the midst of a season looking so promising. Some people talking about maybe UNLV will be that 5th team that we're talking about. Thoughts on that situation? And is that where this, unfortunately, the NIL is taking NCAA sports?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess. I don't know. It was odd to me that they didn't have anything in writing. And then I read that was kind of commonplace, that some of these agreements are just oral agreements to try to sidestep some legal issue or whatever. I don't want to misspeak when I'm talking about something I'm not totally clear on. But, the bad thing about it is from a fan's perspective, I don't know many fans that enjoy this part of the college football landscape today, is there's more of this to come. Once somebody does something like this, there's going to be copycats out there, and others will pull the same move. And on the deal with, Matthew Sluka, the UNLV quarterback who decided to redshirt and basically quit the team yesterday. I don't think anybody knows. I see a lot of people posting opinions and saying the school should have paid him or this, that, or the other, faulting one and letting the other off the hook. I don't think anybody really knows what happened. To me, it's a little bit flimsy saying that, an assistant coach told me I was going to get $100,000 and, who gives the assistant coach authority to make that type of offer? And if you're the agent, he was represented by Marcus Cromartie, an agent. You're schooled in that stuff. You should have some training. You should have some street smarts anyway. Who gives you the authority to make this offer, Mr. Assistant? And who's funding it? Where's it coming from? When are we going to get it? To me, it just sounds kind of loosey goosey, and I'm not sure about it. But it's very disappointing. But I'm certainly not going to take sides and act like I know who's at fault and who's not at fault or how it should be divided. But it's just all a big mess, with all the realignment with the NIL. There's no commissioner. It's just the conferences have operated independently for so many years, and you've got the haves and the have-nots, and they've just never gotten together and formalized a structure that maybe could have prevented some of this. But man, I tell you, they've got to rein some of this stuff in, try to start putting some guardrails in place and some parameters in place where things are clear, or it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Our weekly check-in on the BC Eagles, a real gutty performance, a big win, sold out, red bandana night at the Heights, beating Michigan State last week. And Bill O'Brien has the troops playing well. Thoughts on that game initially, Paul? And it's almost like the perfect letdown spot. Here I've been trying to figure out the books, whether it was 16 and a half at Tallahassee, whether it was 15 at Missouri. Surprised at the 6.5 number that they posted against Michigan State. In comes Western Kentucky. It's Family Day. And that place is, I can tell you this, there are already 65 tents going to be put up for their tailgating. The place is going to be sold out again. I saw a number of 11 or 11 and a half. Is this the letdown spot? I know nothing about Western Kentucky.
Well, Western Kentucky, they got blown out in their opener by Alabama 63-0. And, of course, they don't have the resources, don't have the personnel. But since then, they beat Eastern Kentucky at home, a FCS team, 31-0. Went to Middle Tennessee, beat a very weak Blue Raiders team, 49-21. And then last week at home, beat Toledo, 26-21, which is certainly Western Kentucky's top victory of the season. And I think we talked about last week that Boston College going into the game against Michigan State was 6-14. Their last 20 is the favorite. So now they're 6-15. So certainly just from a trend standpoint, you would expect Boston College maybe to win this game, if indeed they do, by less than double digits, because they're not in their preferred role. But after this game, certainly they've got to take care of business with the Hilltoppers, because we know what can happen on any given week. But after this game, I think they go on the road their next two games with an off week in there somewhere and play at Virginia and at Virginia Tech, which will certainly tell us a lot more about the Golden Eagles as well. But, so far so good. If they can, keep taking them one at a time and get some more victories, could be a special season there in Chestnut Hill.
Go follow Paul on Twitter at Paul Stone Sports. If you're interested in signing up, getting his written work and all his selections, you can go to his website at paulstonesports.org. Before we get to the meat and potatoes and your selections for this week, I like to be creative here, Paul, and we try to stay ahead of the curve. Georgia, 1.5 2-point favorites at Alabama. One of these teams is going to walk away with a loss. The potential, very simply, is that the loser of this game, if they have that hiccup, I don't know what the committee will think of, obviously, a 2-loss SEC team as they're trying to formulate the top 12. But I got a question for you. If you like Alabama this week, wouldn't it behoove you to add a little Jalen Milroe Heisman Trophy ticket before this game, because he's going up against Carson Beck? And if you like Alabama not only to cover and win this game, Jalen Milroe's stock will probably go through the roof if Alabama goes on and win, and it is a Jalen Milroe game.
Yeah, I like your foresight, Jeff. I mean, that's what it's all about in betting. It's timing. It's getting the best number, and on futures, getting the best price. Not only when you're looking in real time at one book, you need to be sure and look at 3 or 4 or 5 or how many you have access to. But certainly, I mean, you're exactly correct. I mean, if you're going to take a Jalen Milroe ticket, if you think he's going to have a chance to win the Heisman Trophy and you're going to take that at some time, I think you need to do it before this week's game, because I think he probably needs to beat Georgia in this game to have a real good chance of being part of the party there in New York City and perhaps winning it. But I agree with you totally. It's all about when you step into the market. And with Milroe, if they do indeed beat Georgia, his price, it's going to not be as attractive as it is today. So you would want to go ahead and get in front of the move before it happens.
Your thoughts on this game? Is it more important for Alabama to hold serve here? I mean, Coach DeBoer, they've been great. They've had some sluggish games. South Florida, they started slow against Wisconsin. They seem to get better as the game progresses. I think Georgia's been playing a lot of grab-ass football. I think they're kind of bored, to be honest with you. And when they really stuck their nose to the grindstone, they're pretty impressive against Clemson. And we're seeing Clemson was not as bad as that performance. They have gotten better the last few weeks here. Who's more important, Georgia or Alabama, to make a statement on Saturday?
Oh, I mean, I think it's important to both of them. I mean, this is a big-time football game. I mean, something's got to give. You've got an Alabama team, as you mentioned earlier. They hadn't been a home underdog in 17 years, so they're not accustomed to being in this role. You've got a head coach in Kalen DeBoer. I think he's 108-12 now as a college head coach. It's a pretty good record. Georgia, they've lost 2 games the last 3 seasons plus. One thing, I kind of like Alabama. I would like them more if not for Georgia's. Of course, both teams were off last week to prepare for this game. But in the previous week, Georgia obviously went into Lexington and looked very sluggish in a 13-12 escape over a Kentucky team. I think the very previous week had been boat raced by South Carolina. Just very, head scratching result there. And I'm sure Kirby Smart, Georgia's head coach, has not been easy to live with the last couple of weeks as they prepare for Alabama. And I would just expect to see Georgia's best foot forward against the Tide on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. But like you, I'm not sure Georgia, they're not the same football team as the previous 3 years. They're not quite as good to this point. I don't think that's debatable. And I think a lot of it is on offense, they just don't have any field stretchers. They don't have any playmakers. They certainly, Brock Bowers, let's face it, he was a generational tight end. I think that term generational is overused, but I think Bowers might be an appropriate person to use it with. And then a guy who was underrated, man, it's gritty, reliable Ladd McConkey at wide receiver. They don't even have a guy like him this year, I don't think. He just really hadn't. Carson Beck doesn't really know who his go-to guys are yet. They're certainly not getting vertical with long plays. Alabama really hadn't played a real tough schedule. They've played Western Kentucky, South Florida, and Wisconsin, but they already have 11 explosive plays, not of 20 yards or more, but 11 of 30 yards or more. So Alabama's getting those big chunk plays that Georgia hadn't got to this point. So I kind of slightly lean with Alabama, but I don't think it's a wise thing to get in front of Kirby and Georgia these last few years, especially coming off of a disappointing performance. I think they're going to be loaded for bear there on Saturday.
3 selections this week. We'll start with K-State and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, both these teams were among the favorites in a very balanced Big 12, and both lost last week, so they're 0-1. The loser of this game is going to be in some pretty dire straits before the month of September is over. Kansas State favored by 5 at home there in Manhattan. Kansas State, first of all, looking at their game last week against BYU, they get beat 38-9. The lose that game in the manner that they had won games in the past under Chris Kleiman and before that Bill Snyder. They were had 3 turnovers. They're -3 in the turnover battle. They give up a defensive touchdown. They give up a punt return for 90 yards. Those are the kind of things that Kansas State has historically done in those kind of victories, and the shoe is on the other foot this time. But they're at home now. Oklahoma State's been one of the most puzzling teams to me in college football this year, really an enigma. They come into the year one of the most experienced teams in the country. They've got a 1,700-yard rusher in Ollie Gordon, the second back, and he's operating behind an offensive line that returns all 5 starters, one of the top contenders for the Joe Moore Award, symbolic of the top offensive line in college football. And Gordon's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry. It's just a head scratcher. You just never know what's going on in locker rooms and what the total circumstances are. But I like Kansas State here. They're at home. They're 12-3 against the spread their last 15 games as a home favorite. So I like Kansas State -5 over Oklahoma State. And if you want me to just continue into a couple more,
sure,
I will do that. One of those being Nebraska. They're a 10-point favorite in West Lafayette, where they'll play the Boilermakers on Saturday. Purdue, there's no other way to put it. Purdue's one of the worst, maybe the worst Power 4 team in college football this year. You can maybe make an argument for Houston, but Houston did play Oklahoma tooth and nail in Norman a couple of weeks ago, so maybe it is Purdue. You look at Purdue's 2 games they played this year against Power 4 opponents, those being Notre Dame and Oregon State. They've given up a total of 104 points to those 2 opponents, allowed 1,023 yards total to those 2 opponents, 7.1 yards per play. So just not very good. And I think it's fair to contend that this Nebraska offense with their true freshman quarterback, Dylan Raiola, might be more prolific than either of those two opponents. So they might be better than Notre Dame and Oregon State. In fact, I would argue they probably are. Nebraska, we've talked about it coming off that disappointing loss at home to Illinois. I like Nebraska more in this spot because they lost last week. Now they're a little more desperate. Now they have more focus and intensity. All hands will be on deck. I think they're going to go in there. They're going to take care of business. They're favored by 10. I think Nebraska wins at Purdue by 2 touchdowns or more. And then I'm going to look at a Big 12 game, another Big 12 game, actually. Texas Tech, they're in Lubbock hosting Cincinnati. Texas Tech favored by 2.5 up to 3 at some stores. I'm still seeing quite a bit minus 2.5 at minus 115. So lay the 2.5 at minus 115 if you can. Texas Tech, a team that obviously they came out of the gate slowly this year. They opened the season with FCS Abilene Christian. They beat Abilene Christian 52-51, but they had to stop ACU on a 2-point conversion in overtime to win that game. And then in week 2, after that narrow escape, they go to Pullman and get trounced by Washington State 37-16. So a very slow start. Wouldn't have probably made a difference in the outcome, but Taj Brooks, their top running back, was out against Washington State. Brooks, a big part of their offense. He has 14 straight games of 95 yards or more rushing. So he's a big time back there for the Red Raiders. You look at Cincinnati, their opponent on Saturday. Cincinnati's 1 quarter away from being 4-0. They, like Texas Tech, come in 3-1, but they led by a couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter a couple of weeks back against Pittsburgh, squandered that lead, got beat by Pittsburgh 28-27. You know, the reason I like Texas Tech here as much as anything is those old South Plains of Texas can kind of be tricky. That's a tough place to play. Jones Stadium's one of the most underrated environments in all of college football. It can be very loud, very raucous, tough on visitors. Along those lines, the Red Raiders 20-11-1 against the spread as a home favorite since the start of 2015. I like their quarterback Bayron Morton, running back Taj Brooks, and the Red Raiders minus 2.5 or 3 over Cincinnati Saturday on the South Plains of Texas.
So anyone just joined us right now, K-State minus 5 versus Oklahoma State, Nebraska minus 10 at Purdue in a great bounce back spot, and Texas Tech minus 2.5 at hosting Cincinnati. Paul, the scroll has been going the whole time. Everyone knows where to find you at Paul Stone Sports, but as we always close right here, tell them where they can actually find your work, your website, if they're interested.
Yeah, first of all, if you are involved on X or Twitter, I'd appreciate a follow there. My Twitter handle at Paul Stone Sports. And then if you want to take a little deeper look at what I offer, my website, paulstonesports.org. Again, that's paulstonesports.org.
As always, we can't thank you enough, Paul. Go enjoy the weekend. Let's cash some tickets, and we'll see you next Thursday at 11:05.
Hey, have a great weekend, Jeff, and good to be with you again this week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you. The one and only Paul Stone at Paul Stone Sports. Go check out his website at paulstonesports.org. In 1 minute, the legend, Mr. Cam Stewart. Stay tuned. The next guest, I call him a guest, made his debut here last week, and I'm still smiling ear to ear. We're blessed and honored to have. If you're not following Cam on Twitter, shame on you. Go follow him at Cam Stewart, and of course you can catch him on Sports Grid. The one and only Mr. Cam Stewart.
Jeff, how you doing, buddy? Just watching the opening ceremonies of the President's Cup, and it's quite classy. Like, I got to be honest with you, I think I usually look forward to the Ryder Cup in golf, but a lot of Americans are going to come over from New York State into Montreal and just class all over the board. I think it's going to be a great tournament. The USA usually dominates. They'll probably win, but I'll tell you, I think it's going to be a little bit closer than they think. And this year I'm a big golf guy. You know that. I bet on golf like any type of tournament. Hooters Tour, it doesn't matter. Bart Simpson versus Ned Flanders, kid at the putt-putt. Like, I don't care. I love it. I love the sport. I used to work in a back shop when I was really young, when I went to high school and clean rich guys clubs. So golf's always been a sport that I followed and played. Next to hockey, it was the sport that I probably played the most. Now I can't afford it, Jeff. But back in the day, you didn't make much money. I was driving the range truck, getting plowed by golfers and stuff. But the best thing was free privileges. And this course that I worked at was a country club. So right now it'd probably be about $250, $300 to play. So yeah, it was quite amazing in my younger days. I actually used to shoot 70s. Now, Jeff, I couldn't break 100. If I had the best equipment in the world. I'm just an absolute hack. Like the Golfing Gopher says on NBC, Rory McIlroy and Tom Shanks. That's me. I'm brutal.
We had Brady on yesterday. We were talking President's Cup, and it's kind of funny. I brought this up, Cam, and again, I brought up the Ryder Cup and the beatdown that we took last year. It was box to wire. The crowd. It was you can't duplicate that here, even in the States. And it's been a full year of golf here in the States. You got someone like Xander that won 2 majors. Scotty Scheffler, record $63 million. Oh, by the way, gold medal, FedEx Cup. Is there I asked Brady this, I'll ask you this. With the hype, minus 300, now minus 250, whatever they are, could the U.S. actually be flat here?
They could. And I think the line tells you all you need to know, Jeff. Like at my sports book, if it was Stuart Dawson sports book, I put USA minus 450 minimum. Like, look at the difference in talent that they have. But the thing is, they put it at a lower number because the internationals would be hungrier. Adam Scott's talked about, I'm the elder statesman of this team. We're always losing to the United States. We want to come out. And this team, I got to give Mike Weir all the credit in the world. He's been the best captain I've ever seen. He took these guys to hockey games. He had them out. I was watching a tournament while he was playing, already talking to guys and having a plan while he's on the course. Obviously, Jim Furyk's a workhorse too, but just the attention to detail with the internationals. And I like the first move too. Everyone's like, play the Canadians right out of the gate. I disagreed with that because there's a lot of pressure on these guys. You ease into the tournament, try to get a couple points. I like them early, Jeff, here. Like the first day, plus 160. The bottom line is this, and it happens every tournament. The Americans will crush them in singles. They're just better. They're a better, deeper team. You said it, like the internationals don't have the best players in the world there. They have very, very, very good ones. And guys, tee to green, they're some of the best in the world. But like, take a look at Xander Schauffele, even Patrick Cantlay, all these guys. I'm looking at our team going, excellent, but they're the best. But one thing, too, about Europe, it's personal with the United States. You get those drunken Brits and Italians out there just hating on America. Screw you. There's venom there. In Canada, there's no venom. Like, we want to win. Like, you know what I mean? We'll get fired up, but it's a whole different vibe. You know what I mean? Like, we're more like the North Americans. We try to, team up with each other. It's different this week because obviously Canadians want the internationals to do well. But in Europe, there's a visceral anger towards American golfers because they think a lot of guys think they're tour reeks and they take it personally. That's why they get up in the Ryder Cup. When the Ryder Cup's on European soil, England or one of those countries, France, anywhere in Europe, and that's bad news for America because the fans are going to go out there and they're going to get on them hard. This will be different. I've already seen tons of American flags here because it's a quick trip from New York State into Quebec.
Is there now with hockey right around the corner? The CFL in the back nine here as they're getting ready. The Jays have exited the building a long time ago.
Yes, they did. Honest to God, I was going to go on Looney Dog night, and they're up 3-0 on the Red Sox. I'm like, hey, I might win a bet. Oh, here comes the Jays. These guys are just too much. Every year it's the same story, Jeff. I don't know what it is about Toronto. Hey, the Leafs look pretty good this year. Jays, oh, look at that lineup. You know what I mean? It's just like, I remember once I was in a sports bar in Vegas. The guy's like, hey, what about Toronto? I go, dude, you bet on Toronto. Just give me the money. You might as well use this toilet paper or burn it because these teams never come through. The Raptors won that one title, and I don't know when we're going to see another one, Jeff. It's going to be a long time.
With the hosting the President's Cup, what is the buzz in Canada? Is this, we're privileged and honored to have it? Is there a buzz?
Yeah, there is. There's a true buzz. I'm telling you, like the people of Montreal, they're gonna. I kind of wish, you know what I mean. How do I say this? Like it's tough because this year's President's Cup being in Montreal, despite being a legendary course, Royal Montreal, it's not going to be a total Canadian crowd. That's the whole thing, or international crowd. There's going to be a lot of guys from the States, and that's cool because I want the Canadian fans to get into it, but I also want it to be friendly. Sometimes the Europeans take it too far. It's like, dude, relax. I know you're on your like 20th Guinness here, but just calm down. Like stop coming at this guy's family and stuff like that. And that's not my style. I think when I played sports, nobody was friends on the field. We'd have beers afterwards. That's the way I look at it. On the ice, on the golf course, you know what I mean? I'm there to beat you down, but when it's over, it's over. But the Europeans, it's not like that. They probably run into Xander Schauffele and like bottle him if he went out to the wrong pub. You know what I mean? These guys their visceral anger towards like the PGA Tour is a little bit different. But yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of American fans here. But it's going to be a good tournament. I bet internationals. You know what I did, Jeff? I'm not totally stupid. Maybe, actually, sometimes you've seen some of my bets. I do some pretty stupid stuff. Like, hey, Carolina was good last week, though. How about my Cats? Outright. Hey, Ginger's helping Gingers with Andy Dalton, right? Kick a Ginger Day. No, love a Ginger Day. Thank you, Andy. Carolina money line. But then again, I bet on the mayonnaise man, Will Levis. What a stooge. This guy's awful. Like, Jeff, like, what's going on here? I forgot what I was talking about. Golf? Yeah, I was talking about golf. Yeah, internationals. Plus 3.5 points for the tournament, and I have USA to win by 1-3 for almost 4-1. So the bottom line is this, Jeff. If the USA wins by 3.5 or less, you're going to see a very happy guy with a redder face and more drinks down my gullet. Maybe I can upgrade to a better quality of beer or wine after this weekend. No random.
There is actually an NFL game tonight.
Yep.
Dallas travels to the Giants. 1-2 versus 1-2, right? 1-2 versus 1-2 here.
Yeah.
Maybe after the 3 weeks of carnage, the public can finally start the week on the right side. I know the whole world will have Dallas money line parlays set up for the weekend. They'll have teasers with Dallas. They'll have CeeDee Lamb to have a big day, multiple touchdowns. Dak over in passing yards. I talked about that last night with Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan on the Sports Grid. How are you attacking this game?
It's interesting, Jeff. And know what I hate too? I do a lot of videos on Mondays. I'm just going to ask you this. How many games change from Monday to Sunday for you? Like for me, it's at least 4 or 5. Like, no, like I give early leans, right? And people watch the videos. Nice picks, Cam. Yeah. And I'm going, no, actually you did well. Like I get off some of these picks. When you see crazy line movement or something, like your opinions can change on a game. Like the NFL is crazy, right? But here's the deal. I'm not laying points with Dallas. There's no way. I'm taking, the Giants went up to 6. And I'm not an advocate of buying points, over time. But if you wanted to get a 7 and pay juice, no, I'm not going to stop you. I know I do a lot of shows with people. Don't do this. Don't do that. Do what you want. It's your money. It's your gambling. I don't tell people what to do. If you feel something, just do it. I know there's rules to this stuff. But anyway, I'm more like, I guess I'm a different breed. I just don't, I don't use the computers as much as everybody else. I watch sports. I have an eye test. My girlfriend, I got her into gambling. Like we make notes together. Like she crushes MMA and tennis. You should see her, Jeff. And I remember once we went down to Vegas, she was absolutely drunk, like fall down drunk. And she hit like 2nd, 3rd, 4th in a golf tournament. Like, oh my God, all these top 10s. I'm like, how'd you do it? She goes, just vodka. That's how I did it. I go, fantastic. Great system. But I'm taking the Giants tonight. That line's gone to 5.5. It's kind of a limp number, Jeff. But if you get 6 or more, wouldn't you take the Giants too? Like, how do you lay points with the Dallas Cowboys? Like, they've proven, at least the Giants, Neighbors is getting a little bit better. Daniel Jones can run. That's the one thing. I don't think this game as easy as people think. But one thing is for sure, as you know this, betting for years, the Cowboys own the Giants. That's why it's concerning. That's if the Giants had a better record against them. But I'm not laying points with Dallas. I think it's a recipe for disaster. Exactly what you said with teasers and money line parlays and stuff. I'll take my chances with the Giants. And I like do you like the over in this game? I think there should be points. I don't like the defenses very much. So I think we can hit that over. It looks a little bit light.
You see, what else for Sunday now? It's an okay guy. You talked about Will Levis. And
I'm betting them again, Jeff, because I told you, I had an addiction to Panther. Now I have an addiction to Tennessee. That's my problem. It's like betting golf. It's very similar. When you take a guy and he comes 2nd or 3rd or blows up, the minute you get off him, he'll win. Like, you know what I mean? It was like Carolina. I was like, don't do it, Cam. Don't take Andy. I'm like, no, Andy Dalton's better than Bryce Young. And I feel that Miami, with a backup quarterback, Tennessee the thing is, Jeff, it's so frustrating because they could play a great game and he can make one stupid mistake and I lose the bet. I'm just praying he doesn't make that mistake, and betting on prayer is probably not a very good way to go, but I'm leaning Tennessee. I love the Jets this week. I think they're actually murder Denver. Denver looked great, but Tampa Bay was flat in that game, and the NFL is a week-to-week league, right? So I don't mind 7.5 with the Jets. That's definitely teaser and parlay material. And what else was I going to do? There was another game that I was looking at. It's my Seahawks. Like, I got 4.5. Like, Detroit hasn't shown me they're the same Detroit Lions. Goff hasn't looked good. The team, they have a lot of injuries. Seattle's been a lot better. Like, and Buffalo getting points is very intriguing to me as well. Like, people want to fade Buffalo. Like, the Baltimore Ravens offensive line reeks. So, and tonight, Jeff, college football. Are you crazy? Rutgers! And my father, we have ties to Washington and the Huskies, but I'll tell you, these guys going into Piscataway, New Jersey, where it's dark and bleak, oh, man, I got to take Rutgers tonight. Those kids are tough as nails, badasses. They just play so tough. I like Rutgers in that spot tonight, and Army can probably name their number on Temple. Woo, 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 woo. The floundering owl. He's wounded and hurt. He's not flying anywhere. That team reeks.
I was going to say the baseball season ends on Sunday due to Mother Nature, due to potentially Hurricane Helena, whatever's going up the East Coast or what was in Atlanta. Sounds like a doubleheader on Monday. Potentially win and in for the Braves or the Mets. Thoughts as the season's wrapping up? We've talked at length about those Tigers. Hats off to the Tigers. The Royals hanging around, the Twins floundering. What are you seeing as this is wrapping up with just 4 or 5 days to go, Cam?
I got to tell you, Jeff, I want to put money on the Tigers, but I'm like, it's just, I don't think it could happen. It was 17-1. I'm like, man, these guys are playing really, really good baseball right now, but can it lead into the playoffs? I'm going to tell you one thing, Jeff, my futures, I like the Padres. And me and Gabe, we do a show at night on Sports Grid, Sports Rage Late Night, and he's a huge Dodger fan. And I saw them win last night, but that was all because of Ohtani. Ohtani basically gave them that win. The Padres are deep. They're dangerous. I like their bullpen better. I think the Dodgers have a lot of problems with their arms. That's my future in the National League. I've already betted at a wicked number earlier on before they went on this heater. I like the Padres a lot. In the American League, I don't know who do you like? Like, I want to make a case for the Yankees, but there's problems there. You know what? Who the most underrated team is? We came up with this is Cleveland. They get no respect. I know that division, that sucks. It sucks. But Cleveland is, compared to the other teams, they got pitching. They have one of the best bullpens, if not the in baseball, and they have timely hitting and good players. Like, let's see if they can do it in the postseason. But because they play in that weak Central, they don't get the respect they deserve, right? Like, they get to beat up on the White Sox and stuff. That's why the Twins, Tigers, and Royals with cheese are still, lingering here. So, sorry, I love your commercial, Jeff. Every time I see that damn lobster, I'm like, gee, I love food sponsors. Like, I can't get enough. I used to be sponsored by a pizza joint. It was just the best. I did the show and the pizza would come. More shows, please. Yeah, I got to get food sponsors are the key, everybody. If you ever get in this business, you don't want something. I don't need nails or anything to help fix my house. I want food. I want food or betting vouchers. That's all I want.
You talk about the American League, and there's a potential Tigers-Houston. Now, we know playoff season, here comes Houston. But in a short series, now Seattle ran into this, obviously, against Houston a couple of years ago. But here's my thought process. And I'll ask you the same question I asked Dave. Opening game, let's say it's Valdez versus Skubal. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bet the Tigers, and I'm going to bet them in the series. If I get that Skubal win, which I think I'm going to, at a short price, and they go up 1-0, there's an easy hedge spot once they win the first game if I wanted to come back with the Astros to win that series.
I think that's a great way of looking at it. That's smart betting because everyone's like, the Astros are amazing, and Skubal can beat anybody. The crazy thing about the Tigers is they're getting great pitching from everybody now. Have you seen their results lately? 1 run, 0 run. I'm like, whoa, man. What has happened with this team? They always had good young talent, but even Kansas City, they can't hit now, but they're winning 1-0 and 3-0. It's like, where are these pitchers coming from? It's just, it's wild stuff to me, Jeff, but I love your angle of Detroit because that's a really good way to bet this stuff. I agree 100%. What else do I got for you? I'm not sure. College, NFL, if there's any more games. What do you like in the NFL? Maybe I'll ask you.
I try to wait to the last minute, which is always the worst thing.
I want to do. Yeah, I used to do a radio show, and we did it like an hour before the game. It was the best. I'm like, thank you. I'm looking at line movement and stuff. It was just like now I'm doing this stuff like a week ahead of time. It sucks, man. Like I just want to do it the day of. It'd be great. Oh my God, they're shotgunning a beer on the first hole. There we go. That's how you get the Canadians involved. Let's rock. Oh, man, he took down a tall boy. There you go. That's wicked. Is that Adam Scott doing that? I don't know. Pendrith. Oh, yeah, no, it's Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian there. Guy's from just near me. Hamilton Tiger Cat fan. Go Tabbies. Oski wee wee. Yeah, Ticats plus the points versus BC in Canadian football could be worth a look. This team's playing great football right now. Bo Levi Mitchell and the Tiger Cats left for dead. These pussy cats have turned into real tigers. They're playing great. Like the Detroit Tigers, Jeff. Cat team. Panthers? Tigers? Tiger Cats. Why not?
we got a week and a day. A week and a day before the NHL kicks off. We started some NHL talk last week. Anything change? Where the eyes? I mean, we got some preseason games already going on as we talk. Thoughts on pre-flop? You know, it's good to get one or two tickets where you think the numbers are going to move against you or in your favor. Anything changing right now, Cam?
Just a couple bets that I put in. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, to me, their win total's too high. I bet under. I'm just looking at the teams in the Western Conference. Colorado still has McKinnon. They picked up Drouin, he was a troubled guy, but now those two, for people that don't know, they played junior hockey, Halifax Mooseheads, and they were like the best. Like Drouin was actually got higher rankings than McKinnon when he played junior hockey. I think going to a team and getting away from Montreal, like when you're a French Canadian playing in Montreal, that's death, Jeff. That's the one thing. Like the media cannibalizes their own. They love hockey so much. Next to your family in church, it's hockey. And after a while, the players get beat down. It's kind of like that in Toronto, but Montreal's 100 times worse. Boston, you guys are you got hardcore guys too. Like those are real hockey markets, right? And after a while, when a player's struggling, it can get really nasty in hockey. So I'm just looking at that team. They're good. Nashville, I've already told you about. I like the Predators. The Dallas Stars bring back a lot of talent. I'm like, Vegas has to regress. They have to. Aiden Hill and all these guys, they cannot continue this pace. They lost Marchessault. So I'm looking at a very strong Western Conference going, I can't expect Vegas to do this every year. I think they'll be all right, but I just think the books still think they're better than they are, and there's too many. I can name a lot of teams better than them. That's what I'm looking at. In the East, everyone like Carolina as a team, I think is going to take a step back. Montreal might be interesting too, Jeff. One thing I've noticed with Montreal in the preseason, they're going to score a lot of goals, and they're going to give up some goals. They have a great young defense, though. A lot of their prospects are like they're getting better, but it's going to take a while for them to get better. Maybe in the second half, they'll be better defensively. Still, goaltending is a question mark. I like Montembeault. I think he's very good. But they have these young studs up front, very good players like Caulfield, Suzuki, Stanislavski. They got like good rookies. Like, you know what I mean? So Montreal's a team I think could be in a lot of 5-4 games. I'll look for overs earlier on in the season with them. And I'm not a homer with the Leafs. This team has cost me more money. I'd probably own 3 homes without this team. I'd like to actually go up to them and say, can I have a big fat envelope of money for all the money you cost me, like from childhood on? Like you owe me a lot, and I don't know why I still like you, but that's what happens when you're brainwashed and they're your team as a kid. But yeah, I think they're going to be very good under Craig Berube. This guy's all business, and it's hard for these younger athletes to listen to guys like him, but they're going to have to because it hasn't worked any other way.
Do the Rangers take a step back? Do you think
Yes, Jeff, I think they do. That's a good call by you. Like, think about the Rangers. Like, I watched, the problem with them is they have aging stars, but what about their foot speed against some of these teams? Like, I see the Rangers kind of exposed with their, like, they have Kreider, but other than that, I look at their total team and go, I don't know, man. Like, over a long season, getting beat down, like, I just think they're a little bit too old and not fast enough for the new NHL. I agree, Jeff. That's a great call, actually. I think I'm going to I haven't put that one in, but thanks for reminding me. Rangers under, too. Let's roll.
Before I let you go,
Yeah.
you talked about the Ticats. I know we got a CFL weekend. Marty Lowe,
Yeah.
Nashville Predators get the cup. Any quick leans on the CFL before I let you go?
Yeah, let's take a look here at the CFL, Jeff. I got to tell you, it's one of the best leagues to bet. If people aren't betting the Canadian Football League, like it's wild. Like it's absolute crazy stuff every single week, and it's very, very streaky with some of these teams. And right now, Hamilton, they're on a very, very, very good streak. So let's take a look. You got the CFL board. I'm having problems with my computer here. Let's take a look here. DDD, Canadian Football. I know the first couple games. Here we go. So Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Edmonton Elks. That's a tough one. I'd lean Elks plus 4.5. I like Hamilton at plus 7. Ottawa Red Blacks in Saskatchewan. Ooh. Oh, man, these games are tough this week. See, I'm not really feeling. I like the BC Hamilton over 53. That's something. I'll give you a total. I like the over in BC Hamilton. BC's defense is porous. Hamilton's scoring a lot more now, and BC will be able to score. They have a quarterback controversy there. Hamilton could be a live dog, but I like that over 53 in Hamilton, BC. Tough call, Jeff. Been focused. There's so many sports going on now with baseball. Like I'm getting ready for the playoffs and futures. I got way too much invested in this damn golf tournament. Thank God Billy Horschel won for me. An American in Europe. That guy, like he's a big West Ham United fan, the West Ham Hammers of the Premier League in England. And a lot of the Brits are like they were actually. It's weird because I didn't think he would have any fan support, but he actually had a couple guys cheering for him and beat Rory McIlroy in a playoff. So good for Billy Horschel. I like to see the underdogs win.
Cam, we know we can follow you here on Twitter at Cam Stewart. I follow you every night on the Sports Rage with Gabe Morency and yourself on Sports Grid. But as we always close here, tell them where they can find you and your schedule.
Cam Stewart Live on Twitter. I don't tweet enough because I'm just not that guy. I'm always betting and stuff like that. So I should probably tweet out things more, but I don't. I'm on Sports Grid like basically almost every night. I'm not sure, Jeff, if you know Joe Ranieri, but one of my good buddies too. We do a college football show. We're on College Football Live from noon till 3 on Saturday. Tonight, Gabe and I will be on. He starts at 8. I come on at about 8:15. We're doing an in-game during the Giants in Dallas. We'll have live props, picks, first touchdown scores. We've been nailing that market. First TDs has been great for running backs this year. So that's where we are. And basically, guys, just tune into Sports Grid. We're basically all over the place. It's a network dedicated to gambling. Gabe and I like to have fun. We like to, get fired up and have a good time. Sports is supposed to be fun. Life's hard enough.
Cam, we can't thank you enough. I gave you enough time to get yourself all powdered up for your next show.
Yeah, I got another guy
Hope
waiting.
to see you in a couple.
Are you ready to go? It's like, settle down, bro. Can I just get a coffee? Like, you should see me when I'm done these shows, Jeff. They're like, man, you got so much energy. And then I go, boom, and I just like hit the pillow, and I'm like drooling, and yeah, my sleep mask is getting foggy. Like I'll conk out for a few hours because I can't do it any other way. I love sports so much, and I've been gambling since I was a kid, and it's really nice that we have a good community. It's kind of funny. Like you meet people in life in the gambling community. I meet you and other guys. They've been some of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. And I know TV portrays it differently, but it's not true. Like some of these guys I do get like gaming shows with and gambling are the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. So don't let the cover of the book fool you sometimes. You know what I'm saying, Jeff? And it's a pleasure. I hope everybody does well. And your early guest is great. Like when I hear that Southern accent, it just draws me in every time. I'm like hypnotized. I just want to bet everything he says, even though South Florida didn't win last week. He's amazing. I like that guy a lot. He's just like, what a voice. I love that Southern accent. It just makes me think of SEC football. Love you, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. You too, Cam. Take care. Catch up soon.
Buddy.
Take care. The one and only Cam Stewart. Go follow him right now. Check if you got YouTube like I do. Sports Grid's on 24/7, 365. Go follow him. Gabe Morency on the Sports Rage. They'll be on tonight. I was on last night from 8:32 till about 8:50 with Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and when we come back, we'll do a quick wrap up. Stay tuned.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, baby, higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Oh, what a way to start the day here. I get Thursdays. I love every day here. Don't get me wrong, guys. I do. I love what I do. We're coming up on 10 years of public service. January 1st, 2015 was our debut, and January 1st, 2025 will be our 10-year anniversary. We'll have a lot of good things we're going to give away. We're going to give back. I was taught at a young age to give back. I'm a giver, not a receiver. So if we can educate, help, put a few win, grins, and profits in your pocket, that's what we hear about. It's not about getting rich. It's about making it to the next day, and then the next week, and then the next month, and then all of a sudden it's a year, it's 2 years, it's 5 years, and now we're coming up on a decade here. So shout out to Paul Stone every Thursday, 11:05 to 11:25, 11:30ish, coming in, breaking down college football like no other. And as Cam said, that accent does, I absolutely love it. And to connect with Paul is second to none there. Second straight week with Cam Stewart, hoping that he will be a regular here. I know he's booked next week, but hopefully we'll have Cam back the following week. 3 o'clock, the return of the UFC and Lou Finicaro at Cam Lou. We'll be talking in UFC in the Octagon this weekend with Lou. And at 5 o'clock, Ron Marmalewski at Ron A Sports. We'll be breaking down some college football and some NFL. Shout out to Russell Saylor, Marty Lowe, the rest of the crew that was watching so tentatively and listening. Can't do it without you guys. If you haven't already, head on over to YouTube. Subscribe at East Coast Sports Investors. It's free. Turn on the notification. Never miss a show like today. Today at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And a shout out to Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Hopefully all is well in Florida, and to everyone in Florida, please be safe. No hero plays here. Enjoy your morning. It's about to be noon in the East Coast, and we'll see you back here at 3 o'clock. Thank you, guys.